for a quorum.
Billy should be playing some background music or something while we're waiting. You know? Something, yeah.
Mike can sing us a tune.
I think that
Howard could,
off of
Howard
Joe
could
Hughes
sing.
to sing us a tune, not Mike Fisher.
I think Commissioner Cantz is the only one who's qualified to sing.
Oh, that's true.
I don't know. I haven't done it for 4
Maybe
months. I'm a little rusty.
Like riding a bike, isn't it, Joe?
This is Rich. I'm going to ask Rose to do a roll call right now, please.
Certainly. Commissioner Higgins,
Present.
Lisa Strickland,
Present.
Commissioner Snyder,
Present.
Steve Stevenson. Okay. Commissioner Ridgway, Commissioner Partner,
Here.
Scott Fritz,
Here.
Commissioner Metzger,
Hello? I can't hear you.
okay, is that Commissioner Metzger? Can you hear me?
Yes, Commissioner Metzger's here. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Howard Fry,
Here.
Commissioner Kodish,
Here.
Commissioner Holdren,
Present.
Commissioner Shikatano, Commissioner Watson, Commissioner Cantz,
Here.
Dennis Ban.
Here.
Okay. That gives us quorum. Is there anybody I missed?
12 people attending right now.
Yes, and Larry Reesinger just joined. There were 13.
How many do we need?
12. We have 12.
So we're good.
We're good.
We're good then. Okay.
Yes.
Afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call the SEDA-COG Board of Directors meeting to order at 1:05 on June 24th. I want to thank my Vice President for filling in the last meeting. It doesn't seem like the last meeting was February, but I appreciate Commissioner Partner filling in. First order of business is approve. Everyone's, I'm sure, has received a copy of the minutes from February 26th. Are there any changes, corrections to the minutes?
This is Kodish. I'll make a motion to approve.
Holdren,
Okay, that's, okay, moved and seconded to approve the minutes of February 26th. See no questions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Open forum, opportunity for public comments. Any? None heard. Opportunity to discuss general interest items, non-agenda. Anyone wants to discuss?
Commissioner Ridgway, Joe Cant, just to give a very, very quick update on election reforms. I had a conversation on Saturday with someone from the General Assembly. They're working on a package of corrective bills for the Act 12 and Act 77. As we've all dealt with the new laws this past primary election, I think we had a chance to work out some of the kinks in the system. And it would be my hope that we'll see some moves in the positive direction to help make November's election a little bit more smooth. So hopefully we'll see that within the next week or two. I know the House is planning to be in session, I believe, this week and possibly even next week. So.
Okay, anybody else? We were fortunate to be out of the courthouse, everything counted by 10:15 on election night, but with the general being going to be a lot busier, I think opening envelopes is going to be a real problem. So I hope that something can be done there. Any other non-agenda items? Is there any old business? Move on to new business, financial statement, financial audit. I think everyone received a copy of that. And we have Mr. Tom McCann from Larson Kellett here, and we'll let him do the talking.
Good afternoon, everybody. I guess I'll start with, does anybody have any specific questions after having a chance to review it? I realize the information is kind of old because of the timing of everything when all the stuff going downhill. I'll be very brief. I just wanted to cover a couple items, really. Nothing significant. If you have a question, just go ahead and chime in anytime. I don't know if I'm going to be working off the paper copy, ironically, in this electronic world. We're in a Zoom meeting, and I'm going to use paper in front of me. The opinion page is page number 3, 4, and 5. It's the independent auditor's report. It is a clean opinion, i.e. no modifications, no issues there. Management discussion and analysis is page 6, which covers 7 pages. That, again, is prepared by the staff. That's their synopsis of the operations with comparative financial information, as that is required by GASB 34. Moving through the financial statements themselves, they actually cover pages 7 through 16. We have the government-wide, which is pages 7 and 8, the statement of net position and the statement of activities. Again, that's on a consolidated entity basis, business type activities as well as the governmental activities. I need to speak louder? Is that what you said? Page 9 is the balance sheet of the governmental funds. That is the general fund and the weatherization fund, and then a small non-major fund. Obviously, that's the bulk of the operations here on the governmental fund side. And then the reconciliation, and then the statement of changes in fund balance. And you can see for the year, the general fund had a slight loss of $55,000, and weatherization had an excess profit of about $1,500. Moving forward to the proprietary funds, begin on page 13. Again, that's all the revolving loan funds are in the first column, and then the foundation and LDC financial numbers are included as they're required by the nature of their operations. They're required to be blended in with the SEDA regular financial statements. Income statement is on page 14. Again, nothing of note significantly to speak to there. Statement of cash flows is on page 15, and then the fiduciary funds is page 16. As far as the accounting footnotes go, the notes to the financial statements, there's no new footnotes to speak of. It's business as usual, required disclosures. And the only one normally I speak to is the future accounting pronouncements because of the COVID-19. our wonderful GASB has extended everything one more year so that nothing would have to be implemented with the pending 6/30/2020 financial statements as it relates to SEDA-COG. Page 34 is the schedule of federal awards. Just details the various programs and awards that are federally funded here at SEDA-COG. And for the year ended, we had federal expenditures of $6,196,000. Again, that number seems pretty consistent. It's always been over 6 million as far as I can remember, sometimes a little higher. And then the remainder of the report is some unaudited schedules by program. It gives you the income statement of every program here operated by SEDA-COG. And then at the end of the report is the single audit reports related to single audit, because again, with the federal money, the entity is subject to the single audit. Other than that's really all I wanted to cover. I wanted to keep it brief as we are coming up on 6/30/2020 already. So if nobody has any questions, I'm going to be happy to take them. If you have any questions. All right. That's all I got.
Rich, are you still on?
Must have lost him.
Rose, did we lose Rich?
Yeah, I'm guessing. President Ridgway, can you hear us? Okay. Okay, well, we'll need to call for a motion then to approve the financial statements as presented.
Jeff Snyder, I'll make that motion.
Howard Fry, I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate your time.
Yep. Hey, everybody.
Rose, I'll call for the question then. Vote.
Thank you.
Commissioner Partners, it's your first vice president. Why don't you take over?
I'm here. I can do that. I assume we lost Commissioner Ridgway on the call?
He's still logged in, but I don't know if we can hear him.
Yeah, it sounds like he's having, it's not clear. It sounds like he's still online.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
He's back.
Okay, I'm here. So I think we have a motion on the floor to accept the financial statement audit as presented. Do we have a second?
We did.
Howard Fry did second it.
Okay. And are there any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Finance Committee report, the consolidated budget. Once again, I think everyone received a copy of that. And Bo Harnberger can go over the details.
Good afternoon. I had to unmute myself. I apologize for that. Rose is going to do a screen share here because I'm not tech savvy enough to figure that out yet.
Did it appear for everyone?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Keep this pretty brief. I think we want to go to the next slide, Rose. Thank you. So the budget narrative is pages 1 through 19 of the consolidated budget. This is an overview of the significant changes, successes that we experienced during the current fiscal year of 2019-2020. lots of changes with the retirement of Bill Siegel, the hiring of John Brown to replace Bill Siegel, and then of course, the pandemic. A lot of crazy things have happened in the last few months. But if you read through the budget narrative, you'll see that SEDA-COG has been able to maintain operations and continues to have the successes that we've always had. Some new things, some new funding sources were brought on by the CARES Act because of the pandemic. Inside of that budget narrative, you also see some state and federal budget information. And then also, if you read through again, those program overviews. Going back beyond page 19 is the consolidated budget with attachments 1, 2, and 4. That's the section that I'll be reviewing with the board. Attachment 1 is the 2020-2021 revenue budget. The attachment 2 is the 2020 to 2021 operational expense. And then attachment 4 is the weatherization operation expenses. You'll notice on attachment 1 that the budget does not balance. However, the budget, we are projecting a surplus of revenues over expenditures of $90,970. Total budgeted revenues are $9,591,000, and total budgeted expenditures are $9,500,000. Just a note, 2017 and 2018 and 2018 and 2019, we projected budget deficit, and we're able to take those deficits and turn them into surpluses. You go to the next slide. Yep, thank you. A couple ways we were able to turn those deficits into surpluses. In 2017, 2018, we eliminated the program. SEDA-COG has always been very aggressive in finding new revenue sources. And then we've also taken an approach to carefully monitor expenditures. And then we also implemented reviewing budgets after 6 months in the fiscal year with the program directors. Some of the new funding sources. We successfully applied and were approved for a Paycheck Protection Program loan. What this allowed us to do is re-employ staff that we had to furlough during the COVID-19 shutdown. The majority of those staff were inside the weatherization program. We anticipate that the majority of that loan will be forgiven and converted from a loan to revenues. We have about, the standard was 8 weeks, now it's up to 24 weeks to spend that money. So we think we're going to have the whole thing forgiven. Also, we are receiving some funds through the CARES Act, through the Economic Development Administration. We're $575,000 to business finance to administer a new EDA CARES revolving loan fund. The revolving loan fund is $5.75 million. And we're also receiving $400,000 in the Economic Development Department to help businesses after the COVID-19 pandemic. These funds are going to be used over the next 2 years. The biggest bulk of our expenses at SEDA-COG are, of course, salaries and benefits. So with the new funding, we were going to need to hire some new staffing to help with the workload with these new projects. So we're projecting the hiring of new staff in business finance, new staff in economic development, new staff in rental management, and also weatherization. Our budget is projecting a 2% overall performance-based salary adjustment. Note again, that's a performance-based salary adjustment. So it's based on our new review process that Amanda and Rose rolled out this past year. We are projecting an 8% increase in healthcare costs. Our January 2020 renewal was 3.4%. We're hoping that, we hopefully don't hit the 8%, but we've budgeted it in there to take a more liberal approach to those costs. that was really the largest part of the budget overview. What we'll ask for now is approval of attachments 1, 2, and 4, if there's no questions. And I'm feel free to chime in and ask questions.
Oh, I would like to just add that the SEDA-COG Finance Committee has already gone through this process and taken a look at this in a fair amount of detail. We met about a week and a half ago, and Chairman Fritz, I don't know if you want to present any further thoughts as it relates to the Finance Committee's deliberation.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Mike. As Mike did indicated, the Finance Committee did meet on the 15th of June. Bo did highlight and gave special attention to the questions we had. There was discussion on the salary increase, and there was much discussion that it was performance and merit-based and under review. So we were supportive of that as a committee. There was additional discussion on the CARES Act, which Bo highlighted, that the timing and the duration of the funding for both business finance and economic development, and how the funds were going to be used. And as Bo also pointed out, the budgeting by nature has been very conservative, and that's been supported, by the fact that there was projected deficits for the past several years, that because it was a conservative nature, they did end up making adjustments and coming out with surpluses. So it does support the premise that this is very much a conservative-based budget. One other item of note, there was discussion by and some inquiries by the Finance Committee as to the stability of the anticipated state funding given the circumstances. So that was discussed as well. But the committee did recommend all three attachments as highlighted on the screen. We did recommend approval to the full board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So
I guess I'll
Commissioner
entertain a
Ridgway.
motion to- Can you hear me?
Rich, this is Joe Cantz. I just had a question on the new positions in the budget. I think there were 5. I know I saw one in business and finance, weatherization, and rental management.
I think there's 2 in business finance.
Okay. And I guess my question on that is, are they sustainable? Do we have a path forward as to how we're going to sustain them?
I think that goes back to Mr. Hornberger.
Yeah, so this new revolving loan fund, so that those funds, once we loan them out, we'll earn interest on those funds, and then as they pay them back, we're able to relend them to earn more interest. So we feel that those new positions will be sustainable with the monies we'll be earning on those funds through the future, beyond the 2-year limit.
I had the same question, but as you know, there's a lot of money floating around right now, and it takes people to manage it. So we'll see.
Yeah. The challenge there is the fact that we have Doug's group will have 24 months to get all 5.75 million on the street lent out. So that would require an additional lender and support staff in order to be able to process that volume of loans that we're anticipating. We did ask Doug when this was raised, and it's nice to get the money, but we asked the same question: well, what happens in years 3 through 5 after the 20? And that's the approach we took through most of the budget. Where are we not just this year, but how does that look down the road? So, we put Doug and the team through that grist mill before even acknowledging we need those positions going forward.
Are there any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to accept the fiscal year 2021 consolidated budget attached as 1, 2, and 5, 4.
I'll make that motion. Scott Fritz.
Commissioner
Higgins
will second. Will second it.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Higgins will second. Metzger will second it.
Okay, any questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Housing Development Corporation, Resolution 2020-8. I'll let John discuss this. This is to replace Bill Siegel with John Brown. But John, you can explain it.
Yeah, it's a position that the executive director of SEDA-COG has on the Housing Development Corporation. So this is more of a housekeeping effort than anything else. There's nothing new being introduced here.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2020-08.
Commissioner Partner, I so move.
Commissioner
Holdren seconds.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Local Loan Review Committee report. Commissioner Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Wilburn, will you be giving that review?
Yes, I will.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Good afternoon, everyone. As you can see, we're looking on page 7, and the borrower is Chris Hoffman of DBA Lazy Hog Farm. And what they're looking to do is the borrower is trying to refinance 3 mortgages for a total of $550,000 to renovate his hog barns for another $104,000. So the borrower is requesting that SEDA-COG be subordinate to the new M&T Bank loan. So the staff recommends that SEDA-COG Board of Directors give final approval to submit the DCED request to subordinate the FIF agricultural loan to the new $660,000 loan from M&T and release the life insurance requirement on Chris Hoffman. This request was given interim approval by the SEDA-COG LLRC on June 16, 2020. So,
Thank you, Mr. Wilburn. May I have a motion to move the request?
This is Commissioner Codish. I make that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Codish. Is there a second?
Commissioner Cantz, I second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Cantz. All in favor, any questions or discussion? All in favor of the action, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, committee and staff reports. Business Finance staff report. Doug?
yes, so if you look on pages 8 through 13, as you can see, I have a memo that just goes over the basics of our potential award from EDA, and that is in the amount of $5.75 million, which we discussed this a little bit ago. And the Business Finance Department will underwrite all these loans, and we will close these loans as well in-house to save on any types of costs and overhead. And if you go to page 9, and this is basically what it is the framework to ensure that we're being fair and consistent across all counties and businesses that are applying. So, we're looking at the basic documentation for the collection of the information there, and we're really going to look at the debt service coverage ratio, and as well as a few other things. All loan requests that we do get for this $5.75 million will need to be approved by the SEDA-COG Board of Directors and the LLRC as well. And if the grantee is required, the appropriate financial information must be obtained in order to perform the cash flow, credit, and financial analysis. We will be looking at doing collateral for all these loans, and it's going to be a blanket UCC, and insurance will be obtained prior to dispersing the funds. If you look on page 12, again, I'm kind of moving through it quickly, but if you look at page 12, the main criteria we're going to look at are going to be the debt service coverage ratio, years in business, and credit score. And we are going to have a tiered interest rate. So when you look at it, you can see we have a tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. The rate's going to have a floor of 1.5%, and it's going to be no higher than a prime interest rate listed in the Wall Street Journal. You look at terms, equipment, we're looking at 10 years, real estate, 20 years, and working capital will be 3 years with the ability to go up to a 5-year term. And that is all for that, for the program policy. I know I kind of went high level, so if there's any questions or anything.
Yeah, Doug, I just want to emphasize, this is, we're waiting to hear on final grant approval. We've had some follow-up today, I think last week. This is that we should this grant award. As a result of the work that we've done,
I can't hear you.
Can everyone mute, please?
Is that any better?
Yes.
Can you hear now? Great. Okay. Thank you, everyone. The 5.75 million, if you look at the context and the scope of what we have now, Doug, we have what, 2.2 million in loan funds that you're currently handling?
Right.
Right. So, you know, this is essentially on top of what we have. So it's really going to put Doug's group and the financial group of SEDA-COG in a very, very different position to be able to support the business community here in the SEDA-COG region. And your individual counties overall. So this, the unfortunate nature of COVID-19 and the devastation that it's occurred, this is presenting the opportunity for Doug's group to be able to move forward. So 98% confident we'll get this grant, but just as a caveat, we're still waiting to hear the final approval from EDA.
And just to piggyback on that, John, I did talk to EDA yesterday, contacting EDA yesterday, and they are hoping to have, you know, the award either in about 2 weeks is when they hope to have the final decision, but they wouldn't give me any other information other than that.
Doug, this is Commissioner Cantz. Just a real quick question. I'm sure, like you said, there's a lot of guidelines we don't know yet, and you never know what the amounts that are going to be asked for will come in like. But do we have, just on historical knowledge, do we have any idea of maybe how many businesses this might actually be able to help?
Well, that again will depend on the loan amounts and everything that we're looking at. So we're hoping to help out as many businesses as we can, but that's why we kind of put the framework together on the policies to make sure that we are being fair and consistent, and that the companies do meet that, and that we do spread risk out throughout it. So, you know, we're hoping to help out as many businesses as we can, but we won't know again until we get in a little deeper on it and see, you know, the loans coming in, are they looking for, you know, 200,000-300,000? Are they looking for 50,000-60,000? So it's just all going to, you know, be relevant to, you know, the environment once we receive the funds and kind of go through that. So, you know, can't be too specific on how many will actually help, but we will, you know, help as many as we can.
So Doug, did we want approval from the board to, in anticipation of accepting this award, or approval of the policies or anything, or is this just FYI?
I thought it was FYI, but, you know, I'm not sure.
We should have an approval of it, because it's a guideline that we're going to move forward, and I don't anticipate us meeting before. Again, we're going to get this award hopefully in the next 30 days, and we want to get it out on the street as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so we'll ask the board if you could approve the acceptance of the loan, the acceptance of the grant if awarded, and the policies attached here too, that we can move forward with the executing this program.
So moved.
Second, Commissioner Higgins.
We lose Rich again.
I don't see.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Economic Development Staff report. You hear me?
Rookie mistake. I started speaking with my mute button on. You'd think I'd learn. All right. Well, you guys are a sight for sore eyes. I just want to talk a little bit about the economic development program, and then I'm going to end my presentation by requesting the board take action on the ARC project priority list. Okay. I welcome any questions. My name is Betsy Lockwood. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the project development grants manager, and I'm also the coordinator for the PREP, Engage, and Keystone Opportunity Zone programs, which are statewide programs that provide assistance and guidance and benefits to the businesses in our region. Today, I'll be providing you with a brief overview of SEDA-COG's economic development activities. They include the 4 major programs: ARC, Appalachian Regional Commission, EDA, or Economic Development Administration, PREP, which stands for Partners for Regional Economic Performance, and KOZ, which is the Keystone Opportunity Zone program. And collectively, these 4 programs work to enhance the economic development potential of the region by promoting job creation and retention, as well as private sector investment by the businesses in our region. The first and longest running of our programs are the Appalachian Regional Commission and Economic Development Administration grant programs. And these programs help to address extensive infrastructure needs of the region. They're also addressing the COVID situation as well. SEDA-COG is designated by an economic development district by EDA and as a local development district by ARC. And those allow us to provide project priority recommendations to both agencies for competitive projects in the region. We serve as the eyes and ears on the ground to help identify the projects that could be eligible for these funding programs. And then once funded, we can also work with the applicants to implement and administer the funds. Recently, we had 2 ARC access road projects on our project priority list. We have the Marsh Road Access Road Project in the Milton Area Industrial Development Park, or MEDA. They are projecting one $8 million distribution center and another $7 million build-to-suit building to be located and utilizing that access road. And they estimate about 60 jobs to be created. Additionally, Watsontown Trucking, Patton Warehousing, and other businesses will be using that access road. The second access road that was recently approved for funding was the expansion of Commerce Drive in Armagh Township, Mifflin County. This project was brought to me by Nick Felice at the Mifflin County Industrial Development Corporation. This project involves construction of 1,300 linear feet of Commerce Drive in the Armagh Business Center. That would complete the loop back to old US Highway 322. Again, there is a bank that's going to be building a multi-million-dollar building for their corporate staff, and there are other areas to locate in that park. In the past, the region's been pretty good at getting 1 and sometimes 2 access road projects funded per year. This year, we currently do not have any shovel-ready projects on our list. So if you happen to come across any projects, please let me know, and we'll work with the appropriate staff to help get the project potentially funded by ARC. Internally, staff is also working on a number of ARC-funded projects, including the Partnerships for Regional Economic Performance. We also work for the Pennsylvania College of Technology Plastics Program to help them purchase injection molding equipment to help train people to be able to go out into the field of the plastics industry and work. And we're currently working with Discovery Space, the maker space, the Rivet in State College. We're hoping to hear about funding for that project as well soon. Earlier this year, SEDA-COG submitted or was involved with 4 ARC power applications. And the power funds at the Appalachian Regional Commission has been created to help Appalachia's coal impacted communities. With the reduction of the use of coal, there's been a lot of job loss, and there's been, an uptick in poverty and unemployment. The applications that we worked with would help diversify their economies and help protect against the negative impacts of the reduction of coal. The applications that we submitted or participated in involve broadband build out, drug recovery and recovery-friendly employees and our recovery-friendly businesses, hiring those that might be in recovery, and encouraging entrepreneurship through revitalization. We have not yet received an update from ARC on those projects that have been submitted. Staff was successful in the past to secure some ARC power funds. The one had a focus on the anthracite outdoor adventure area. And then we had another one to secure funding for a regional broadband study in 4 counties of our region. It's difficult to predict at this time if there's going to be another round of ARC power funds next year, but you know, we'll be prepared and have some projects that could be potentially fundable through that program. Should you become aware of any projects in our region that could be funded through ARC regular funds or power funds, please let me know. Again, I'll work with the appropriate individuals to help develop the project for potential funding. On the EDA side, staff has been working on several EDA projects that have been recently funded. Juniata Business and Industry was recently awarded $1.8 million from the Economic Development Administration to fund infrastructure to expand their existing industrial park. Lycoming County was also recently awarded funds for their flood resiliency project, which will impact the major economic and employment center of Williamsport. We're currently in the process of drafting our 5-year comprehensive economic development strategy, or SEDS. The SEDS is updated annually with major updates required every 5 years. Please keep an eye out for a draft of the SEDS in the coming months for your review and input. The SEDS takes a look at where we've been and where we're going as a region. There are currently 8 goals and accompanying objectives that we use to help identify and evaluate projects and proposals for potential ARC and or EDA funding in the region. Overall, the goals are flexible and allow us to meet the needs of the individual counties as well as the region as a whole. And the SEDS document will keep our region eligible for EDA funding in the future. Again, if you're aware of any ARC or EDA projects, please see me and I'll work with the appropriate individuals to get the project developed and hopefully funded. Approximately 9 years ago, the Department of Community and Economic Development, or DCED at Pennsylvania, created the PREP program, which consolidated a number of former state line items into one new line item called PREP, and required that all of our partners submit a single integrated application that would coordinate services and increase interagency referrals to the client. So, you know, if we meet with a business and they need loan funds, we refer them to SEDA-COG's business finance program. If it's a manufacturer that needs help with their process, we refer them to the IMC, Innovative Manufacturers Center. You know, the end result is increased customer satisfaction to the businesses that we serve. SEDA-COG is the coordinator for that program, and we've been playing a key coordination role. We work now with about 12 funded partners in our region and work with over 20 other unfunded but PREP partners in our region as well. As a reminder, PREP includes funding for the county's designated economic development organizations, including the chambers and industrial development corporations. If you'd like to know where those funds go, please contact me and I can work with you and help answer those questions on each individual county. PREP also includes funding for the 3 small business development centers in the central region, Penn State SBDC, which also now includes Lock Haven SBDC under its auspices, and then also the Bucknell University SBDC. And then finally, PREP funds include funding for the local development districts in economic development. I'm very pleased we all continue to work well together, you know, the program has been very successful. Last but not least is the region's Keystone Opportunity Zone program. This program provides the opportunity to waive local property and selected state taxes for companies that locate in these zones and create or retain jobs. SEDA-COG has been designated as the administrator for the Central Region KOZ, which includes 12 subzones. And those designations were achieved through a series of partnerships between the state and local taxing bodies, which include the school districts, the counties and the local governments, and the economic development agencies. SEDA-COG continues to work cooperatively with the state to maintain this important tax incentive program in Central PA. There are currently over 4,000 acres designated as a KOZ in our region. At the end of 2020, over 2,000 of those acres will be set to expire and then go back on those tax rolls. In 2019, over 80 businesses and property owners were located in active KOZs, and they employed over 1,000 people. In order for new KOZ designations, new legislation would have to be passed. The next round of KOZs will expire in 2022. Any KOZs currently unoccupied can potentially apply for an extension with the state. However, the extension would have to be approved by the 3 local taxing bodies, which include the school district, the county, and the municipality. And then the application would get approved by the state. In terms of public funding overall, there's really a wait and see approach concerning the federal budget with the administration, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic. The focus will be on economic resiliency and recovery as we move forward. And that was really reflected in our consolidated budget that Bo just did earlier in our meeting today. As you can see, we're currently working with the Economic Development Administration on funds for planning and for funds for the revolving loan fund. And we need to get that assistance and funding out on the street to help with the COVID-19 resiliency and recovery. As for the state programs, we understand the Commonwealth has passed the budget, level budget for the first 5 months of the fiscal year to see where the state is at in terms of revenue, and then they'll figure out the last 7 months of the state budget. Again, for the state, we're hopeful for the focus will be on economic recovery and resiliency for our region's businesses, and we're hoping for level funding in those programs. As we move forward in 2020 and 2021, the economic development program's focus will continue to be in the development and expansion of high-speed internet access, which has become even more important with the pandemic, with people working from home, with students doing distance learning, and especially with healthcare, doing online healthcare calls. We'll also be focusing on assisting businesses and looking for ways to improve the regulatory and permitting processes. And staff is also continuing to keep an eye on the federally qualified opportunity zone program that was developed as part of the Federal Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which allows investors to get tax benefits by investing capital gains in specified census tracts. So we have about 15 tracts in our region located in Center, Clinton, Columbia, Lycoming, Montour, and Northumberland. I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone may have on the economic development program, if there are any.
Any questions? You need a motion, right?
Not yet. After my next quick presentation, I'll need a motion. I guess I'll close out with the economic development program. If anyone would like me to come out and meet with their county planners or county commissioners or chambers, I'm always open to meeting with everyone. I do talk with the county planners and economic development organizations on a regular basis, but I'd be willing to go out and talk with anyone if they have any project ideas. All right, I'm going to move on to the action item. One of SEDA-COG's responsibilities, as I mentioned previously, as a local development district for the Appalachian Regional Commission, is to make project priority recommendations for funding guidance. And I will be requesting the board take action today for the ARC project priority list for fiscal year 2021 and 2022. Rose has the priority list up on the screen. It's also included on page 17 of your board packet. It's uncertain at this time how much ARC funds will be available to fund identified projects. However, at the direction of the Commonwealth, our package contains projects that could be funded within the next 12 to 18 months. The number one project is the Partnership for Regional Economic Performance, ARC funding. This program was previously referred to as the Enterprise Development Program, and it's a statewide priority that involves the continuation of business assistance in business finance, export, and government procurement. We also include broadband and community development and much more into that program. The number two project on the list is the South Center Township Flood Resiliency Project. This project proposes to construct infrastructure to hopefully isolate stormwater and prevent flooding in an industrial high employment area of South Center Township, Columbia County. The third ranked project is the retrofitting of Bull Run and McClure's Run pump stations. This project, and this is in Lycoming County, This project will add equipment to prevent failures at these sanitary sewer pump stations that could potentially cause sewer backups that would impact the nearby businesses. The fourth ranked project is the ARC recapitalization of the revolving loan fund. And this project would increase the availability of loan funding in our region to help with business expansion, startups, and then of course those recovering from COVID-19 impacts. Rose, if you could scroll down a little bit, the fifth ranked project is the Perry County Emergency Services and Broadband Expansion Project. This project, it will construct a tower or towers in Perry County to upgrade the county's public radio system and provide broadband services. This project was brought to us recently, and it's not totally fleshed out or developed at this point, but we're hoping to learn more about this project in the coming days and weeks. It's always very difficult to prioritize projects that have such varied goals, but all of the projects are of equal importance in the region. And while ARC funds are limited, it's our hope that all the projects will be invited to submit applications and would eventually be funded through the Appalachian Regional Commission. Normally, I'd also bring the EDA project priority list to you, but I've decided to do that one at a later date. So at this point, we're only approving recommending approval of the submission of the fiscal year 2021-2022 project priority listing to DCED and the Appalachian Regional Commission.
And that's the 1,675,000, right? That's the ARC money?
The ARC project priority list.
Yep, that's 1,675,000.
Yep.
So I need a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion, partner, Juniata County.
Okay, do I have a second?
Howard Fry, second.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you.
Community Relations, pardon me? Community Relations Director report.
Thank you, President.
Kristen?
Yes, thank you, President Ridgway. For those of you who are guests, my name is Kristen Moyer. I am the Community Relations Director here at SEDA-COG. So my report is found on pages 19 and 20 of your packet, and I believe Rose is going to share that on the screen as well. My role is to be out in the community, so that's changed a little bit with COVID. I've been on the phone a lot and a lot of Zoom calls. So what I'd like to do is just briefly talk about the three sections of my report. And they are outlined in three different areas: general outreach and marketing, legislative advocacy, and project-related information. So I'd like to first talk about the general outreach and marketing section, which is on the first page, of page 19 rather. And just some of the highlights, you can see some of the meetings at the top of the list were actually probably the first 5 meetings on that list were actually in person. And then after COVID struck, everything became online. One of the highlights that I did want to mention was that I met with Gail Zahler of Central Susquehanna Opportunities, also known as CSO. And CSO serves some of the same clientele that SEDA-COG does, particularly in our housing rehab and weatherization programs. So we often refer clients back and forth for services. So I felt it was important to touch base with her because they serve a lot of the same counties and have the same footprint that we do. Switching directions a little bit, you will note that most of the time was spent under general outreach and marketing on COVID-19 information. We actually, with the assistance of John Brown, Scott Kramer, our IT director, we reformatted our website to make a COVID-19 resources page and continue to update that as new information rolls out. And that is right on the top of our page on our new website. We continue to publish press releases, which are also found in your packet on pages 25 through 31, trying to keep business moving as much as normally as possible. So you can read those at your leisure. Some of the things that we released were information on our housing rehab programs. There were some new awards for some home funds that will be used for our housing rehab in several communities. Those are one of the highlights, but you can read those at your leisure. Switching gears a little bit regarding legislative advocacy, I met with Cindy Adams, who is a new staff person for Senator Gordner's office. She is in the Mount Carmel office, so I provided an overview of SEDA-COG services to her. She was particularly interested in our revitalization efforts in Shamokin because her office is within close proximity to Shamokin. Furthermore, you can see that I contacted several federal and state legislators for support of our ARC Power Grant application for broadband, and that was for 4 counties. And we continue to provide support to legislators on our progress of the 3-county broadband project in Juniata, Mifflin, and Perry counties. Finally, I've been informing you and the other commissioners of our boards of our 11 counties of projects that have been funded so that you could share these programs with your county residents. For one example, our weatherization program received LIHEAP funds through the CARES Act for residents to repair or replace heating units, and that was in the amount of $159,000. And we still have some of those funds available. So if you have county residents, it doesn't cover all of the 11 counties, but if you do have county residents who would need additional help with heating units, we can get you that information as well. Finally, John Brown, Betsy Lockwood, Mike Fisher, and I were scheduled to meet our congressional reps on March 17th. We were going on Hill visits in Washington. However, that was canceled due to COVID, and I'm hoping that we can get those rescheduled at some point when that occurs. Unfortunately, we didn't have the opportunity to do that. Those are some of the highlights that I wanted to present to you. I wanted to keep it short and sweet because there was a lot of things on the agenda, but I will be happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Any questions? Kristen, thank you.
Sure.
You're a hard worker like everyone else over there. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Next, the Executive Director's Report.
Thank you, President Ridgway. I have some general comments that I will share as part of my report. But before I get into those, I wanted to provide the board an update on the natural gas co-op. I asked Don Keel to participate. This is a follow-up from action that was taken, I think, in January of this year by the board relative to the gas co-op. So I asked Don to provide a brief overview and update of where that is as of today. It's a 6-month follow-up that was requested by the board. Don?
Thank you, John, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to provide a brief update for you today on the SEDA-COG Natural Gas Cooperative. And first, I'd like to report that our Center Hall Natural Gas Delivery Project went live in May. That's an important milestone for us. The gas is flowing in Center Hall in Center County, and the main anchor customer is the Hanover Foods plant. And since the beginning of the project, over 100 additional residential and small businesses have signed up as customers for this service, and that number is growing. So we think this project's really been a major success in demonstrating how the cooperative can play a significant role in getting natural gas to areas that are either unserved or underserved in the SEDA-COG region. I also wanted to point out that we're in discussions now with the propane industry about partnering, and we think that there's significant opportunities to work with them in supporting delivery of LNG, liquefied natural gas, and CNG, compressed natural gas. So we're going to be developing those discussions here very shortly with that group. The main potential user we're working with right now is Pennsylvania Options for Wellness. They're constructing a medical cannabis research growing facility in the Perry Industrial Park down in Duncannon in Perry County. Pictures of their building, the status as of earlier this month, are included in your packet. And they expect to begin their growing process there very soon. So Pennsylvania Options right now is currently evaluating the approach for powering and backing up their temporary and permanent growing facilities. And that will be based on using LNG and involving the cooperative. We've included an overview summary and charts in your packet that provide more detail on projected beginning delivery dates and expected revenues for the cooperative. And this project is still in the development phase, but we also completed a non-binding letter of agreement that's been signed by the cooperative, Pennsylvania Options, and Frontier Natural Resources, who will be the actual LNG producer, with the intent to provide and deliver LNG to Pennsylvania Options. Our main goal is to enter into a contract this fall to formalize that agreement for delivery. So their begin dates are still tentative, but the building completions really should help to advance and firm up their schedule. So that's the brief overview at this time. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have at this point. And also Jim Saylor from the Transportation Group is available if you have any questions for him.
Yeah, just an added comment. As you're aware, we're no longer, SEDA-COG is no longer incurring any additional costs in terms of the natural gas co-op board. The remaining, the $130,000 balance is still out there. However, as Don has pointed to, the PAOW has a high likelihood of moving forward. It's just a matter of timing. COVID-19 has, as a lot of projects, have interrupted some of that. Jim Sale and transportation team have picked up the bulk of Don's services, at least 60 to 75% of Don's time spent on the long-range planning program. The balance of it is committed to continue to keep the co-op moving forward with the various projects that are going through. I guess the request I would make of the board is to allow this relationship to continue with the co-op, at least until we can see the PAOW come to fruition, early in 2021, potentially with that contract on referenced, and the revenue that could begin generating for the co-op, and that would change the whole scope of the relationship with the co-op and the ability for the co-op to expand even into further projects and areas.
Well, this is Rich. Is it possible to get a pro forma or something going out? This $7,500 a month, that's gross sales, right?
No, that would be from the what we're considering to be an adder fee that would be placed on per gallon sales to Pennsylvania Options on top of the actual delivered price from Frontier. So that amount, that target amount per month is, in total, is the adder fee per gallon on their projected usage.
And no expenses on that?
Well, we will have some expenses, but the contractual relationship for that particular project really does not impose much in the way of expense on the cooperative. There will be a typical arrangement or relationship between Frontier as the provider and Pennsylvania Options as the customer. And our role essentially is to be and has been as the facilitator. So we're not responsible for maintenance. We will not own the gas. Again, our role is essentially putting the project or putting the arrangement together.
So that's like gross profit then?
Yeah, essentially it is. And like I say, there may be some miscellaneous expenses, but it's not a traditional ownership situation for the cooperative.
Okay. And then I think last year in January, we were working like with the pro forma going out. Is it possible to get something like that in the future?
Yeah, we're trying to
anticipated?
do that, and we're trying to keep pace with their status on developing the project down there with their projected start dates and projected usage. Not all the answers are available to us yet, but yes, we can try to put something together and keep it updated based on any changes that may be taking place.
Yeah, besides the building being constructed, Don, didn't the PAOW just receive a significant approval from the Department of Health, Pennsylvania Department of Health recently?
Yes, they did. They have two buildings. There's a temporary facility that will be the first that's up and going very shortly. They received approval from the Department of Health on an inspection from that earlier this week. That is designed to use electricity and temporary, what are called pods, for getting the growing facility up and going, but that's to be replaced by the full permanent facility. We hope later this year.
Okay, anything else? Hello?
Okay, thank you.
All right, so as an action item, Don, we'll try to generate a pro forma for the board going into by the next board meeting, which would be in August.
Yeah, I think we had something going in January there, and I just.
Yeah, and Don,
Go ahead.
yeah, there are a couple other projects that are sitting on the back burner. You know, Don is focusing really on PAOW and entertaining like the propane industry, but minimally is pursuit of other projects that could potentially be out there. So, you know, he's staying pretty well focused on PAOW at this point.
Okay.
Don,
Okay. I guess the only other items today are the news releases, which everybody can read at their leisure, I'm sure, and the minutes from the MPO meetings. And other than that, I think unless anyone else has anything for the good of the order, we have that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make just a couple comments, if I may, within the executive report, just to bring the board up to speed. You know, Bill Siegel retired March 13th. I took over fully as executive director March 16th, and the stock market dropped 3,000 points. The state was shutting down, and COVID-19 was on the rise. So, you know, I really want to take a minute and just acknowledge the staff here at SEDA-COG. The team literally within a week pivoted from being on site to having to work remotely. We have 86 employees that we disperse around the region. Almost without missing a beat, the team responded. A little bit of a learning curve, and I just want to acknowledge that they really did a great job of keeping the services flowing. A good part of our time was really focused on understanding what COVID-19 was doing and really capturing and trying to interpret all the information that was flowing from the federal government and state government into the region the best we could. IT, Scott Kramer and his team did an awesome job. A lot of the heavy lifting went to Doug Wilburn and his team. For example, the PETA loan program, what came to Doug's team to facilitate and administer on behalf of the staff. And I sent some interim reports as to what that looked like moving forward. There were FMLA HR related issues that came with the changes from the CARES Act and stuff. Amanda did a great job with that. Overall, I think the SEDA-COG team and the organization has really done an excellent job through this COVID-19 period. It took a little while, but now I think we're in a position, whether we remain under COVID-19 for a while or not, that we have a good plan in place. We know how to pivot if we need to along that line. I think importantly, looking at the continued challenges that are coming as a result of COVID-19, such as, can we come back together? Or is this going to ever get lifted from us? Do we have to work under what model moving forward? The team has really done a good job. Once we went remote, we met twice a week with the directors on video conference over the first eight or 9 weeks, back off to once. Recently, we did do Amanda did a employee survey as to what that would look like if we were to come back into Furnace Road building and operate. And by and large, I think we have everything in place in order to be able to do that. There is some concern amongst the employees here, as probably your staff individually, about catching COVID from an employee, a colleague, or being around other people in a closed space. So as we're moving forward, we will continue to monitor that. We have some employees with underlying conditions, some that are taking care of young children. So we're working through how to balance all of that. We'll be meeting, I think, next week as a team to really look at if we do open up the building again, what model would that look like? Is it 2 days, 5 days? So we'll continue going through that dialogue. As a final note, so I want to thank the team also for what they've done, because it's been a yeoman's task, and they've all responded. The only areas that we were, I think, significantly affected by were the weatherization team, which was about 19 or 20 employees, and then the housing rehab team that we ended up having to pull back from the field, for obvious reasons, then ended up furloughing them for an interim period of time. As Bo mentioned, we were able to secure the PPP funding in order to bring them back. And that's significant because we didn't want to lose them to other opportunities, if you would, because those are very important programs for us. And as we've been able to bring those back up, we've been able to. Groups such as when needed, went up on particular projects and got waivers so that they were critical, so that we can continue under the COVID-19 umbrella and keep those projects moving forward. So, pretty much across the board. A final note is, I think Betsy had mentioned that, as you're aware, the budget is flatlined for 5 months. So as we put this budget together and look to move forward, we took that into consideration, recognizing we don't know what's going to happen come November, and what the state will do, or how deeply some of the cuts may be. So we're prepared to continue down this line and continue providing the services that SEDA-COG was built to do. So I just wanted to share those points. Any questions I can answer for any of the board members at this point? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John, and thanks to staff at SEDA-COG. And I tell you, we've been all in this together. It's been interesting. And I don't care if we go through it again or not. So, anything for the good of the order? If not, I'm going to declare the meeting adjourned. Be safe, and we'll see you in August.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks.